Did you know that Google personalizes many searches by city, and Also Asked is the only tool to access live People Also Asked data at city level? Try for free at alsoasked.com.
Tired of SEO guesswork? Quadra's AI agent goes deeper to uncover high-impact optimizations and completes hours of SEO in minutes. Get started now.
I was going to say that SEO with Fat Joe is as peaceful as this, but then the birds are all having fights.
Hello everybody, good afternoon. I'm not going to dance and I'm not going to sing, but I'm going to show you a method that you can use to create a what I call a powerful and strategic roadmap using your Search Console data. So the presentation is going to span over Search Console data that we've already heard about. I'm going to show you, we're going to deep dive into the central part, which I believe is the most interesting to understand. We're going to open up a little bit the black box of natural language programming. And I'm going to show you how to cluster keywords from your Search Console data using principal component analysis. And then a sprinkle of machine learning at the end. Unfortunately, we only have 20 minutes, so we have to choose which are the most important things that we want to concentrate our efforts on during the presentation. So it's a hybrid sort of this presentation. The people that are on the low end and who are not familiar with scripting and programming can take advantage of this as hopefully inspirational and leapfrog into the unknown. For those of you who instead are hardcore programmers or code or into coding, this can be perhaps another way of looking at your data. So you'll have to deep dive, as Epi just mentioned, if you want to really get into the nuts and bolts of your search performance for what we are granted to know by Google, you have to do it via the API. So for those of you who are not familiar with API access, I've created on my LinkedIn, it's already available for download on my profile, because I practiced this so many times, I wrote it out actually into an article. So you can download an article and you'll have the presentation and the PDF. And in the PDF that you can read, if you like, there are going to be links to how to set up an API access. So it's relatively simple. It may be painful. So if you really feel challenged, for those of you who are not scripting and don't want to really get your hands too dirty with this, you can actually hire somebody to do this for you quite simply. And you will have, let's say, another tool that will allow you to really download all of your Search Console data, all right, at scale and make your life, let's say, a little bit more easy. So to show you what you can do, I'm going to use a real life example. These are another typical client that doesn't know where they are, they don't know where they're going, and they ask me to help them on their journey. It's a DMC, a destination management company. You may be familiar with this if any of you are in the travel and tourism business. So they said, well, what is our performance? It's a small, obviously, the most challenging questions always come from the smallest of the companies, where they're very aggressive to know. They squeeze every ounce of life out of you for every bloody euro that they give you. So, then let's see what your performance is. You ask me the questions, I'll try to give you the answer. They say the enrichment and the challenge of this particular example that we're going to deep dive into is that it is in 4 languages. So you can scale this up to more languages if you're very multilingual, or you can scale it down if you have, let's say, only 1 language. So we started with a raw data that's coming from your Google Search Console. It's like this. It will look like this. You'll have keywords. Sorry, I I confound keywords with search terms, but I use them interchangeably, so you know what I mean. So search terms, their performance, and the URL. And the end product is looking something like this. No, it looks like this, not something like this. Okay, so the 4 languages plus the 5th, which is not Esperanto, and it's not something that's coming from Mars, but it's something that is a mixture typically, okay? Because especially for travel and tourism, there are a lot of English terms that intermix with Italian, for example, also with German, less with the French. The French do things on their own. Pardon me, the French, they don't really mix too well with English. So, well, typically you might not want to bother with this because there are typically terms that don't funnel too much traffic to your site. They don't have too many impressions. So 80-20 Pareto, you can just forget these. It's too much work and not enough insights on that. This is a pivot table that when you explode it, it will break down into categories that we have created, and then I'm going to show you how you can create. And then you go one step further, there are the URLs, and one step further, the keywords that are in them, obviously coming from Search Console, and you can see the performance. Okay, so how is this done? So, well, there are a number of algorithms. The basic fundamental one is PCA, Principal Component Analysis. That is, let's say, the mother of natural language programming. Now, to explain without going into refined mathematics that I'm sure I don't want any suicides on my conscience here, let's do this in a very simple and intuitive way. And just imagine that you have a barrel, and you had that barrel that was full of marbles. Does anybody have an idea what an oil barrel filled with marbles to the brim? How many marbles would fit in an oil barrel filled to the brim? No, between 60 and 70,000. And you were challenged with the task to bin them. Okay, so we have one big barrel, and then somebody says, okay, well, classify these marbles for me. How would we do this intuitively and manually? Well, shape, color, yes, size, and then we could sort of like dig deeper. They could have a different density, they could have a different superficial finish, they could be new, they could be old. These are all features, that would distinguish each one of them, right? So they create this, we could then bin these, based on the number of features that we arbitrarily decide, and we could create smaller bins. If we look at the barrel per se, right, we could think, well, each marble is a universe in itself because it's a unique creation. But that's not really practical, right? From a practical point of view, we can't really manage 65,000 categories. So we need to downsize. And that's exactly what we do with Principal Component Analysis. The fact is that we don't do that manually. It's the magic of the black box, the algorithm that does that. And the fantastic thing about this is that the underlying mathematics that govern what we can do with words, if we change the marbles with words, is exactly the same thing that you can do to build a skyscraper, to launch a rocket, to do biohacking, which I do a lot, or in electronics. We can do the same thing because, as the famous Italian physicist Nikola Tesla in the late 1800s said, all things have a frequency and a vibration. Everything, including words. And that vibration and frequency are actually what distinguish energy. And frequency and vibration are another way, let's say in layman's terms, to talk about something that is resonance. Everybody in this room has heard of resonance or has spoken about resonance. I resonate with you, hopefully, today, giving this presentation. That means there is some kind of a connection, an entanglement of some kind. And that is exactly what happens when we put in a set of search terms in a principal component analysis, and we pull out on the other side a list of categories, which obviously are not going to be categories that are already tagged, meaning that if you run the algorithm is going to say, okay, based on what you have told me, so the features of the marbles, based on what you tell me, how many groups do you want to create? How many buckets do you provide me? The algorithm is going to ask you. I will group these search terms for you. And this is what happens. They are grouped, you review them, and in reviewing them, you attribute a tag, let's say, okay, a categorical tag. And based on how the algorithm reacts as a function of how many categories you choose, you refine this process. You'll do it twice, 3 times, 4 times, depending on what the outcome actually looks like. So this is, let's say, the final iteration, and you can see how the words are actually grouped around beer and food. You see, beer and food. They are grouped around beer and food, and then there are different nuances. There are words, there are adjectives that decline, that specify how that topic is actually spread across, let's say, mathematically, theoretically, an axis. Okay, one of the axes of the n groups that you have actually defined. I think this is a very interesting point. If you look at it with this view, you can understand what the algorithm is actually doing. Now, be warned that you may find people who are telling you that it's an old algorithm. It is indeed a very old algorithm, but it's very effective. And especially for those of you who are not familiar with scripting, installing scripts, etc., it's a very simple algorithm to implement, also from a scripting point of view, from a Python installation. So easy to use, gives you the right order of magnitude, 80-20, and you have a very nice set of categories. Now, obviously, when you've done this the first time, it doesn't really take 10 minutes to do. If you're looking at that, work was done across, by the way, 25,000 search terms pulled down from the Search Console. Obviously, this is a dynamic process. It's something that you're going to do again and again and again, and you don't want to sit there and do again and again and again that classification of those search terms. And that's where machine learning, the sprinkle of machine learning, helps. I call it the monkey see, monkey do work, because that's what it is. It's a sophisticated statistical modeling of a big data set that tries to identify the insights in the data set. But that's all it is. So it's basically taking your master key set, the one that you have set up with the PCA, and you map it, and the machine learning actually learns. It learns all the search terms and the categories from the master, and then it projects the new search terms that you have, that you will download again and again off of Search Console, and it will match them for you. So it saves you a ton of time. And this is a very repetitive, technical kind of thing that you can really do without knowing too much of what's going on under the hood. It's a bunch of mathematics that really doesn't take too much, let's say, consideration and analysis, unless when you match, you go and you'll have to do some quality control here to really understand if for some reason the procedure starts to derail, obviously you're going to have to put it back. You're going to have to put it back on track, and then you obviously will have that composite pivot table that I showed you in the different languages, and you share that data. And this, let's say, this approach, I've used it many times, delivering that sheet to, let's say, a wide variety of animals that are clients. It goes across quite well. People who are not data savvy seem to like it. They once you tell them what those little cross lines are, because they've never seen them before, and you tell them, if you click there, it's going to open. They say, oh, that's not lovely. It opens like that. And say, yes, and look, you're going to find some data in there. Oh, how interesting. And they start clicking around. And so it goes across quite nicely for those who want to go delve into the details of the data. But it's a very powerful tool for those who are interested in doing content creation. So very often I'm confronted with the question, what should where should we go and how should we get there? To get back to my Visit Rimini people, if you give the people who create content this kind of structured data, pardon me, Jarno, but for stealing the terms, but structuring the data, let's say, in this way, it's very easy to identify, for example, some opportunities to write some content, or to curate some content. So do some evergreening. Find content that is there, that you've created, see if it's working the way it should have. If not, you can go back and you can update it. So, yeah, you can share with your editorial team. You can enrich it with the Google Ads tool with additional things. And here, your creativity, you're just looking at an infinite space where you can go on and do all kinds of nice things. Okay, I think just a few final considerations about where we are. There's a lot about the future and what we should do in AI, etc. My personal experience over the past 12, 14, 16 months has been that the use of AI is extremely empowering. And the real challenge I face is, what do I need to learn? What do I need to know to master and manage the increasing number of black boxes that we're going to have to manage? These black boxes being PCA that we looked at a little bit more under the hood today, but there are many, many more that they're going to come onto us. And we're going to start being a bit more monkeyish using all of these black boxes. And we have to understand what is important that we know to be able to judge the quality of the outcome when we give it an income. I think this is going to be extremely important. That's why sit back, chill, don't drink too much, and do some old ancient Italian ozium, huh? So here we are. We're just about done. Also perfect timing, mamma mia, and did it in time. So this little method can turn out to be quite powerful, if you are looking for a creative way to access your Google Search Console data at scale, organize it, and have a rinse and repeat kind of procedure to, for reporting and also for your content creation team. Just one last thing: always be creative. And don't follow the flock. Thank you.
Demand Sphere. Limitless visual insights from the SERPs. Unlimited dashboards and users. Easy to use and easy to scale your growth to new levels.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.